This is America in Space, a weekly news and information program on current events dealing with the space industry.
Welcome, and thanks for joining me today. I'm Dawn Meyer, Space Coast News Editor. Humans have been putting probes into space since 1957, and into deep space since 1972. 5 deep spacecraft, Pioneer 10, Pioneer 11, Voyager 1, Voyager 2, and New Horizons have either reached the edges of our solar system or are fast approaching it. Most of these probes have defied expected mission lengths and are still operating long beyond their original mission plans. These spacecraft were originally planned to explore our neighboring planets, but now they're blazing a trail out of the solar system, providing astronomers with unique vantage points in space. Pioneers 10 and 11 have been in space since 1972. Now, sadly, they're no longer functional. Pioneer 10 lost communications in 2003, and Pioneer 11 has been silent since its last contact in 1995, but they're still continuing on their journeys, even though in silence. Because once a spacecraft is set on a trajectory out of the solar system, according to the laws of physics, it won't stop unless something changes its course. Now, Voyagers 1 and 2 celebrated 45 years of operations last year. From close flybys of the outer planets to exploring humans' furthest reach in space, these 2 craft have contributed immensely to astronomers' understanding of the solar system. Their main project now is exploring where the Sun's influence ends and other stars' influences begin. Voyager 1 crossed the heliopause, the boundary where the Sun's flow of particles ceases to be the most important influence, in 2012, and Voyager 2 followed closely after in 2018. Linda Spilkner, Voyager project scientist and planetary scientist at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California, says Voyager 1 has now been in interstellar space for a decade and is still going strong. So the cameras may have turned off a few decades ago, but the spacecraft's other instruments are collecting data on the plasma and magnetic fields from the Sun at a great distance. Here is more from the Carl Sagan Institute on the exploration of deep space.
30 years ago, the distant Voyager 1 spacecraft had completed its primary mission of exploring Jupiter and Saturn. The late Carl Sagan proposed it turn around and look back towards its home planet to take one last meaningful picture of Earth. All alone against the blackness of space, it saw a pale blue dot.
This image of our home, taken from an unimaginable distance, became one of the greatest legacies of our endeavours in space exploration. Carl knew that this picture would have immeasurable cultural value, offering a unique perspective on our place in the universe.
Look again at that dot.
That's here.
That's home.
That's us. The only home we have ever known.
On it, everyone you love.
Everyone you know.
Everyone you've ever heard of.
Every human being who ever was lived out their lives.
On a mote of dust, suspended in a sunbeam.
Since then, humanity has sent new robotic emissaries out into the darkness of space, continuing our tradition of exploration. But as we push ever further out into the void, we continue to look back at that pale blue dot, at the distant world that dared to dream of the stars. Now, 30 years on, extraordinary new discoveries are being made. Our vast galaxy has never looked more familiar. We now know our solar system is but one among thousands, an oasis of life in a vast cosmic sea. With more than 4,000 exoplanets detected to date, we have begun observing the first pale dots around other stars. And despite the overwhelming distances, we can now peer into the atmospheres of these new worlds, continuing our quest to find life in the universe.
When Carl Sagan began his career in science, the search for life on other worlds was not considered a reputable astronomical pursuit. Carl and a handful of other scientists braved the scorn of many of their colleagues to break that taboo. How I wish I could tell him that the institute that bears his name is a vibrant collective of scientists who continue the searching that he and others began. I am certain that he would be proud and humbled that they do so in his name.
Here at Cornell University, we are continuing Carl's legacy. We are building the tools to find life in the cosmos. We are the Carl Sagan Institute. Join us in our journey.
Now, New Horizons is the youngest of the deep space probes, having launched in only 2006. It completed its flyby of the dwarf planet Pluto in 2015 and has been zooming out of the solar system. After completing its primary mission, it's been flying by Kuiper Belt objects and has more planned before leaving the solar system. It is set to reach the heliopause around 2040. So what will these probes continue to find? Will anything or anyone find them? You just never know. Stay tuned. Thank you for joining me. Remember each Tuesday to join David Denault for America's Return to Space, and join me every Friday for America in Space. From the Florida Space Coast, I'm Dawn Meyer, Space Coast News Editor for About Space Today.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to share our program with your family and friends, and follow us on Facebook. Join us each week for news and information on America in Space.